Hello, everyone. This is Bob Davis. I'm the owner of Soul Patrol, uh, along with my brother Mike, who's behind the scenes producing us today. Um, Unfortunately, we're here to talk about something that is not pleasant at all. But we have a special guest who is going to be able to enlighten us on that unpleasant topic. We have Mr. Mr. Lamont Dozier Jr., who, if that
Hi.
name sounds, hey Lamont, if that name sounds familiar, you will all remember that the producers of the 1960s Supremes at Motown were an outfit called Holland Dozier and Holland, and Lamont's father is the Holland. No, I'm sorry, Lamont's father
He's
is the Dozier from
yeah.
from Holland Dozier and Holland. I'm sorry,
Yes.
it's been a long day,
No
and
worries.
and so Lamont has agreed to come on here and talk about Mary Wilson, the late Mary Wilson. So Lamont, why don't you introduce yourself and then talk about Mary.
Well, this is Lamont Dozier Jr. talking to your wonderful audience listening in today, and I just wanted to stop by and talk about the great Mary Wilson, who was one of the co-founders of the Supremes, along with Florence Ballard. And I had been knowing Mary just about all my life, ever since I was a youngster, maybe in the '60s, when both of my parents worked at Motown. My mom was at Motown before my dad, and then my dad came over from Anna Records, and Barry Gordy had him get together with the Holland brothers, and they ended up forming Holland Dozier Holland songwriting team, and they started putting out songs on what they were called then the Primettes. But then, as they were having some unlucky attempts at getting out hit records, and then Holland Dozier Holland was fortunate enough to be one of those writing teams that wrote their first number one hit of "Where Did Our Love Go." And from that point on, the hits ensued, and they became known to the world as the Supremes. And I just wanted to say, the Motown family is definitely, uh, mourning the loss of Mary, because she was a beautiful spirit. Not only was she part of the Motown family and success and made history and blazed trails in her own right, she was just a very warm person, activist, worked on behalf of getting equitable pay for musicians and songwriters and performing artists in the business. She would go to Washington on multiple times in attempts to get fair equity for musicians, and just was always busy and always working on another project and keeping the legacy of the Supremes alive. And I would run into her, and every time I saw her, we would joke and laugh. She said, "Boy, you look just like your daddy," and everything. And I was like, "Well, thank you. I think I'm glad I do." But she was just we kid around like family and whatever, but she was just warm with everybody. I saw her interact with her fans, and to her, she was Mary Wilson, member of the world famous Supremes, but she made everybody feel at home. She was warm like that, beautiful spirit. And sir, I just look even form. She always kept the legacy of Motown going, and she was a world ambassador for that, and we just thank her for that. But we thank her for the beautiful person that she was. It's hard talking about her in the past tense, but that's just her spirit burning bright. But I just want to thank you, Bob, for having me on, just to say some nice words about Mary, because she was really legendary and a trailblazer. I mean, before Destiny's Child and some of these other female groups, the Supremes helped blaze the way and open the doors for the successful female groups that will come afterward. So we just thank her for being a part of that legacy and showing them the way, and we're going to miss her. Definitely, we're going to miss her a lot.
Well, thank you very much, Lamont. One thing that I wanted you to comment on, when people say that someone is an activist, and this is something that I found to be true of Mary. When I first met her, and she said that she was involved in this Truth in Music effort to get
Mm-hmm.
the laws changed and stuff, I kind of scratched my head, and I said, well, why would she be involved in that? And she told me, she said, Bob, even though this may not be apparent to you, around the world, there are dozens of fake Supremes groups. And
That's right.
e- every time one of those fake Supremes groups performs someplace, they're taking food off of my dinner table.
That's right.
And, I didn't quite understand it. Can you talk about that aspect just for a minute? Because I think that most people don't even think about that. They just think that somebody
Well,
like Mary is sitting up there fat, dumb, and happy and got all the money in the world and don't have to worry about any of this. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
no, but when you look at the global aspect of it, unless you have a system in place that monitors people going live and even in the states, somebody could say we're the Supremes, this or slightly change the spelling of the name, and then you have to go to court, and then you have to determine, well, who really is associated with the name, whose trademark is it, who makes the most money of it, and it gets to be a real legal battle. And what she was saying was true. You have a lot of counterfeit acts out there making money and profiting off the name that she helped build and helped discover, and that she's a co-founder of the legendary group. And um, it was it was a great thing for her to go out there and make sure that the legacy was authentic and true. And she was still working. I mean, you're talking about a
Mm-hmm.
woman who was in her years for you're talking about a 60-year career that went on, and she performed, and she was always carrying the legacy of the Supremes, and letting people know that, hey, we're still alive. This is I'm a great musical ambassador to the rest of the world, and I'm pretty sure it just rubbed her the wrong way to have people trying to take financial advantage and take credit for something while she was still here, because you can't replace the original, and she was
Yep.
definitely making sure that legacy stayed true. And like I said, she was still performing out there. If people wanted to see the Supremes, you could go see Mary. And definitely down through the years, you had different incarnations of the Supremes, but they were still Motown talent, Motown grown, uh, and held true to the original format of what the Supremes was about. And for as well as Bob, Mary was part of the Supremes till she was the last original member of the Supreme. So
Mm-hmm.
it was a very important legacy for her to maintain and make sure that the authenticity, I should say, was not being played with and not being illegally profited upon from people that had nothing to do with the legacy or anything like that. And like I said, she also was an activist in the form of making sure that people got equity as far as musicians and performers and the like. So yeah, we applaud her for that, because it's not easy, and unless you have a big like yeah, unless you have a big world global monitoring, that can be a tough job. And then when you finally catch up with the people, it can be a lot of legalese involved. So, but we applaud her for that and keeping that legacy authentic and wonderful and beautiful as she was. So we want to thank
Okay.
Mary for that.
Okay. Well, thank you. I just wanted to get that in because most fans don't realize that the backside of all of this is stuff like that. So
Oh
I
yeah.
appreciate it, and I want to thank you for taking the time to come on Soul Patrol and comment on that.